Friends, fans, and dairy products of all ages. This is Cheese of Ages here, and the Gen Con release of two Pathfinder 2e class playtests was moved up to around now to make room for the Starfinder second edition playtest to be released at Gen Con. So we're going to be pushing aside other projects I was working on to cover the playtest materials. Recently, a thread came up about the Guardian's ability to be guaranteed a reaction at the start of combat. And if you know the Pathfinder 2e subreddit, this means somebody asks, does this mean the default is no? You don't get a reaction at the start of combat. It's clearly not the case that that's true. And then there's a bunch of people that will die on a hill insisting that default is no, even in the face of a list of examples of how that breaks the game. Because apparently they play at incredibly toxic tables where the players have to be stamped down by the GM and controlled and their power restrained, or the players will take over and break the game. Uh, but no, the rule for reactions is that the GM decides whether or not you start the combat with your reaction, and on your first turn, as per the start of every turn, you regain your actions and your reaction. This does not mean by default you don't start with it. This just means there's so many different situations that the GM has to arbitrate this. Uh, if it makes sense for you to have your reaction, you have your reaction. If the GM decides, well, this situation doesn't make sense for you to be able to react because you were caught off guard or maybe you were climbing, then you don't have your reaction. The game is clearly operating under the assumption that the default is you're aware of your surroundings and you can react. Because several things, as provided by the thread itself, kind of break if you can't react on your first turn. Wounded Rage, you'd mostly take that to use on your first turn, uh, because normally you're going to rage on the first turn. Uh, in a situation in which you have Wounded Rage and you have your reaction at the start of combat, you're going low in the initiative, somebody shoots you, you get mad about it, and then you start your turn in a rage already. In a situation in which default is no, you need to take special actions that don't exist hard coded in the game, apparently, in order to start you with your reaction to do this. Otherwise, you were just walking through a dangerous area oblivious for some reason, uh, trying to do something else, uh, or something. For some reason, you're walking around herpaderping everywhere, and somebody shoots you, and for some reason that can't piss you off. You know. I mean, I know it also is that situation in which somebody sneakily shoots you if you're deprived your reaction at the start of combat. But hey, that's a microcosm the GM can handwave, not, oh, I have to handwave every fight. Oh, and if by default you have to do something special, like some special activity, to get a reaction at the start of combat, and normally you're just wandering around oblivious to your situation, uh, that very much limits the game. If default is no and you don't have a reaction, that means the commander can only command one person at the start of a combat in the early levels. Uh, so several of his tactics don't work, and his initiative boosting thing at third level that gives him one of the best initiative modifiers in the game makes the situation in which he has diminished class abilities more frequent. Literally, a class self sabotages itself to where the class with the highest initiative in the game is encouraged to not use their high initiative so that they can use all of their abilities. It just doesn't make sense. The default isn't no. The default isn't even necessarily yes. The default is its GM's discretion. The default isn't no because it breaks things. It makes things not function in a sensible way. So why are a couple of people insisting that the game is broken by default? Literally, somebody I got in a debate with in this thread said this is rules as written. If it breaks the game, take it up with Paizo. No. Rules is written is that if something seems too good or too bad to be true, you're misinterpreting it. Literally, rules as written is if it breaks something or it seems really nonsensical, it's not rules as written. Stop basically arguing that the sky is made out of galaxy sized pineapples that have AK 47s that are how they kill and also reproduce. They shoot you with a bullet, then you explode into thousands of galaxy freaking pineapples with AK 47s with like jizz bullets. Like, no, the barbarian could get angry if they're shot before their turn starts. They don't need to perform some special action to be able to be angry at being shot when the fight starts. Like, a commander being super vigilant isn't punished for being aware of his surroundings. Stop being stupid.